Never did find good.
You're exactly right.
Never, no.
Never.
It's hard when you've had a dog for like 13 or 14
Right.
years, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
She's-
We'll call the November 18 meeting of the City Council to order at 6:30. Ask the finance officer to conduct roll call.
Councilman Clay. Here. Councilman Hughes.
Present.
Councilman Clunt. Here. Councilman Minor.
Present.
Councilman Schuyler.
Present.
Councilman Chickie.
Here.
If you'd all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council, do we have any conflicts of interest you need to declare at this time? Hearing none, we'll proceed to the consent agenda. Item number 3 on your consent agenda is to accept the resignation of Edward Heisley. Item number 4 will be to increase the wages of Jack Peters in the electric department to $28.34 per hour for completion of step 3. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Schuyler, second by Hughes to approve the consent agenda with the changes that I read. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And we didn't have any discussion, so I apologize for that. No discussion on the matter. All opposed, say no. The consent agenda passes. Move on to item number E, the agenda for tonight's meeting. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'll second that motion.
Motion by Clunt, second by Miners. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I would advise council that with regard to the indication of a public hearing tonight under Board of Adjustments, that matter has been pulled because the Planning Commission was unable to meet on Friday.
So we will strike item J, subsection 1.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? So we'll call the question on to adopt the agenda as amended. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. At this time, we have a 10-minute window set aside for public input. Looks like we'll save 10 minutes tonight because nobody's approaching the podium. Well, I'd ask then the finance officer, the interim finance officer, to present it with new hires since the last meeting.
Officially, she was appointed 2 weeks ago, but as of today, the new finance officer has started, and I welcome Harley Koenig to our presence here tonight. She'll be taking over completely within 2 weeks. And that's
Very
the
good.
only new hire.
Thank you. Now, department reports. Public Works Director Troy Kruger, you get to go first.
Hello, everyone. Water and sewer, monthly samples. So statewide, nationwide, the EPA, federal government, and then our local state governments, we've been doing for the last couple of years now, it's mandatory that we update our facilities and our residents and make them aware of what their service lines are made up of. This comes from the lead and copper rule that was passed a couple years ago. And so another phase of that took place this last month. The 15th was the deadline. And so we sent out letters to people, residents of Winter, that we know have lead or galvanized piping in their house. And the galvanized piping is included because a lot of times in the galvanized piping, there's lead solder in that piping. So then we also have unknowns, and we sent out a series of letter to those residents informing them that they either have lead or an unknown service to their house, and then we update that on the state website. So that process is complete. There will be, coming in the future, 2025, the state will compile this information, and they'll get kind of a inventory of what they have statewide, and then there'll be some government funds available to correct those cases where people do have lead service or galvanized pipe. We hauled in some sand from down south at our pit. We had a water break on Van Buren a couple weeks ago. Swapped out some more. So we did receive a couple of our last bigger size meters, and I think they did the fire hall and maybe another location, 3-inch meters that we were waiting for. And then we did a little more milling on some streets here in town, and the water guys drove truck for that. Cemetery, picking up leaves in the parks. They're doing a little more trimming on some of these trees that now the leaves are off. They can see some of the dead branches, so they're kind of getting them, cleaning some of that stuff up. They poured some concrete for the McDonald's field dugouts a week ago, and they poured their anchors. They're just getting started on that Bailey's Field Improvement Project, so they poured some of the anchors for those backstops. Light Department, there's just a list of what all the stuff up here in this east side of town here, Roosevelt, 9th Street, 10th Street. They're putting up street lights. We're pulling wire for street lights. They're terminating services, and they're pulling wire and setting all kinds. So they're finishing up all their end of the year stuff. And I've had some questions from the public, and I'm going to send, the guys are going to go around here shortly with winter weather coming on. They're wondering if they could pull out some of those locate stakes in some of the areas that we had surveyed. So if you're in those neighborhoods and you're watching, that work will be done here in the next couple weeks. Streets and sanitation, we got all the snow equipment ready, the snow blowers out. We put the sander in the orange truck. We've got all of our gators and everything ready to go, anticipating some winter weather. Put some more caps on the monster blocks down there on Juniper Street. They help with the sand pit deal. We milled 7th Street last week from the highway to Johnson Street. It was getting really rough, and so we just milled that and put a layer of recycle on it and packed that, so to smooth that up a little bit. We also did it on South County going north from Highway 18 north out of town, 2 locations there. And then recycle trailers have arrived. We have to put some lettering on them, and then we'll probably go set those out in the different areas of town. And then our transport truck to haul the garbage from Winter to Puckwana. Got confirmation that'll be here on the 21st. So, any questions?
Where are we putting the recycle trailers? What locations?
We've talked about Bailey's Park parking lot, one in this parking lot, and then out at the new grocery store, County Fair. We still have a right-of-way through there. We would put one in that location. And then the 4th trailer, we've discussed different locations. We really haven't come up with anything solid yet. Input's welcome.
Talked about the recycling center, right?
Talked about the recycle center. Not a whole lot of room to put it out there, other than when the hours are open. And at night, we shut the gates. We've had a lot of people that are just deciding to haul their trash out there and just throw it, fill up the dumpsters, and so we've been locking the gates up at night to keep that from happening anymore. So,
Troy, on those markers for the new underground, you would rather not have the landowner move those? You want us to wait for the city crews to come and take them down?
yes,
Okay.
yep. And I talked to Kurt about that this morning, and they're going to be around. They'll probably get that completed by the end of the week.
Very good. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Troy? Thank you.
Has your engineer got anything for the good of the city, or is he just here?
Jake.
Oh, gee. I don't have anything in particular, unless there's any questions for me. I was just around today.
Just
Yeah.
curious.
Since I stood up, I will just make mention, we had a call, myself and Brian McGinnis with District 3 regarding the TAP grant application last week. So we tuned into that and answered some questions for the DOT, so we'll know whether that's a go, no-go in January. But
Very good. Unsolicited remarks. Okay. Next, we'll ask the Public Safety Director, Mitch Miller, for his report, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. The first report I'll give tonight is the Corrections Department. I attached that and it's in front of you for your viewing. Today's count is 150. For the month average is 154, and for the year average is 156. And the question comes up often, how many of these are federal prisoners as of today? It's roughly 113 federals right now. So jail activity for the month of October, you can see they were pretty busy processing with 151 ins and outs, so to speak, with 44 troop movements. And of that, I guess we'll skip down to the billing part. Billed out 425,000 and some dollars, and 13,000 for transport. So a very good, solid fiscal month for the Correction Department. I guess one note that we want to do here is a reminder, probably more so out to those in Facebook land, but tomorrow morning we're going to test the sirens as we do customarily on the third Tuesday of the month at 9:30. If you hear the sirens then, that is what they are going to be for. Okay? Second thing is just for reference, it's how many building permits that were issued for the month of October. So, any questions, anybody? If not, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And from the interim finance officer, Mr. Paul Jensen, please. His final report of the season.
Mr. Mayor and Council, good evening. I would, first of all, just let you know that I've appreciated the opportunity to work with the folks in the Finance Department. I've got another couple of weeks to do that. They've been a pleasure to work with, and they're challenging me to learn some more new things. At my age, that's a good thing, so I'm all for it. I do want to just mention the fact that my timing of being here in this position led me to the position of being able to perform performance evaluations for the three people that are in that office. The good thing is that I am utilizing and making heavy use of the previous 3 quarterly ones that were done by Chandra while she was here, and everybody in the office is aware of it, that I'm doing them based on that, and they're okay with it. So we'll be finishing it up. The main reason I'm talking about it is because just a reminder to all of the other departments that annual evals will be due by the end of the month. I did want to also just let you know that we had one special alcoholic beverage license issued for a special event for November the 30th at St. Mary's Hall for a wedding. So that has been issued and approved by the finance office. The other thing I wanted to talk about, number one, I owe the mayor and council an apology because I failed to put something on the agenda today. And what that is we should have been scheduled for a bid opening on our fuel and propane. Here's the good news. We've got plenty of time to deal with it. We did open because the bids arrived as they were supposed to before 1 o'clock today. We ended up that one of the bidders did not bid the bulk fuel properly, and so that bid is thrown out. In other words, they're bidding a dollar amount for the fuel rather than the service fee based on utilizing the state's website, which our instructions include. So we've got one bidder that will qualify for the bulk fuel, number one, and number two diesel, as well as the unleaded regular fuel, gasoline. Nobody ended up bidding at all for the heating oil. My suggestion would be, since we didn't get any bids on heating oil, is that we ask the Public Works Director to put out and get us 3 quotes to bring first to committee and then back to council 2 weeks from tonight, at which time we will also take the bids that were open today, and so that we'll be able to present to council, and council can award bids for everything 2 weeks from tonight. Those will be for an annual, which is the first time the council's done this as an annual thing, but it'll be for all of 2025. So we'll get that approved next time, 2 weeks from tonight.
Very good.
And that's all I have. Any questions? If not, thank you.
Thank you. And because of that interim error, we have no bid openings today. Item number J for Board of Adjustments has been stricken from tonight's agenda. Item number K, old business. Item number 1, do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the quit claim deed from the city of Winter to Tripp County Water Users District of Lot 1, Tripp County Water Users District addition to the city of Winter. Note, and I'm going to read this, this completes the transaction that began with the highway project.
Nice motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Skylar. Motion by Clay, second by Scalar, to approve a quit claim deed from City of Winter to Tripp County Water User District of Lot 1 TCWUD addition to the City of Winter. This will be a roll call vote. Councilman Shaheen.
Yes.
Clay.
Yes.
Miners.
Yes.
Clunt.
Yes.
Hughes.
Aye.
And Skylar.
Aye.
That motion carries, all ayes. Under new business, item number 1, do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve task order number EP-003 from DGR for the development of a feasibility study of a diesel generation plant for additional production capacity.
We have a motion by Miners. Is there a second?
We have a discussion. What is the cost of the
We
feasibility?
have to have a second
Oh, I'm
first.
sorry, my fault. I second it.
Second by Shaheen. And we'll give you first opportunity for discussion.
What's the
Thank
cost
you
of the
very much.
feasibility study?
So what this is it's, the dollar amount was $30,000 to do this feasibility study to find out if we can do a diesel generation plant for the city of Winter. It's in cooperation with MRES, and there's a laid out plan for Winter to invest in this, and then we've either 70 to 90% reimbursement from MRES, and
What is the cost
I mean,
of
some
it?
really quick numbers on it is it's going to be like a 20 to 25 year payback, but the longevity of the project could be pretty prosperous for the city of Winter.
What is the estimated cost of the diesel plant?
The cost for the feasibility study,
No, if we go ahead with the project, what would that project cost? Roughly, just estimate.
it just
15.
varies so much from community to community. We were told a price tag of pretty expensive to,
15 to 17 million is
Yeah.
what the preliminary thoughts were.
yeah.
And the feasibility study, if I might, and DGR, you're sitting here free of charge, so I think it was around $30,000 to $35,000 to determine whether or not it was feasible for Winter to even think about getting into this thing.
Yeah. It's $30,000 is the number that Jared gave us. Jared's with the electrical department and Jacob's with.
Does this have the potential of lowering the rates for the citizens?
Basically, $30,000 we're going to spend to tell us,
No,
you
I'm
know.
talking about if the plant is built in the future, does that have the possibility of lowering electric rates?
Yeah, I mean, so this is how it works. The diesel generation is for MRES to call upon when they're looking for extra electricity. They would call upon the city of Winter, and we would use this to generate electricity for our community upon their request. There's also a couple other incentives for us to pursue this project is we have one transformer station sitting out there on the outskirts of town, and that's our only, if that substation goes down, we could be out, for an extended period of time. This would also be a backup for the city of Winter, so that if something were to happen out at the substation, the city of Winter would be able to use this to keep the lights on.
Now, I'm an idiot. Are we also going to upgrade the substation?
Yes,
There's talk.
yes.
We're working on that information now. The other thing is, not only in our substation, anything between here and the generation plant that gives us our electricity, if anything goes down between here and the Missouri River, we don't have electricity at all. This gives us that possibility for a backup system if we build this. So it doesn't have to be just our substation that goes bad that we need a backup. It could be anywhere.
There's a lot of particulars so this feasibility, this is going to tell us what the cost of it is, what the payback is on it, if we're eligible to borrow the money to do the project. Is that we're going to get into all that in this study. It's basically, in my opinion, it's well spent $30,000 because this could be a really big deal for the city, and we just need to know if we can do it or if we can't do it. Any more questions?
Would this be a budget item for 2025, the 30,000?
The work won't
Or
be done
that's-
until then, so.
We'll know in midway 2025, this study will be done.
Yep. Cool, thank you.
Any other discussion? Questions that Troy can't answer? I'm still waiting for one. Okay, with that, since there are no other questions, we have a motion to enter into a development of a feasibility study for a diesel generation plant for additional production capacity in winter. Motion by Miners and second by Shaheen. This will be a roll call vote. Councilman Clay,
Yes.
Miners,
Yes.
Clunt,
Yes.
Hughes,
Aye.
Schuyler,
Aye.
and Shaheen.
Yes.
All ayes, that motion will carry. Item number 2, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 1087, 2024 supplemental appropriation ordinance.
And do we have a second?
I'll second that.
By Clint. So we have a motion to put on first reading ordinance number 1087, a 2024 supplemental appropriation ordinance. As a reminder, this is the money that we received from the Furniture for the Pool Committee. I don't know if that's the right name or not, but since the newspaper isn't here, it doesn't matter.
That's part of it.
Okay,
You'll see that there's been also an addition made on there, and what that is in the public health part of the budget, there was an over expenditure of the Duet chemical that requires some additional funds to cover. The original overlay was actually returned for credit, but then because of the way everything turned out, we ended up still owing them because there was a couple of additional jugs of it.
So this resolution takes care of both of those
This
items?
takes care of both those items, that's
Okay.
right. And this is a ordinance, so it's just first reading tonight, and then your next meeting will have second reading.
Any discussion on this ordinance?
Troy, would you like to speak?
So, Mark Overspent, there was we ordered a 55-gallon jug of Duet earlier in the year, and he was looking at his budget, which we always do. We, purchase as much chemical as we can before the price goes up the next year. So he ordered another jug of Duet, and the price on Duet went up like $2,500. And so he wasn't aware of that. They did not send him any notification that they were doing a price increase on that particular product. But he did over, so his budget went over. So I told him to return the 55-gallon drum. And so right now, we're waiting for a reimbursement check for that right now. But in the meantime, he is over budget. So we sent the 55-gallon back, and he ordered back 2.5 gallons, 40 gallons to 2.5-gallon jugs, which should put him back within his budget margins. So it's just
Very good.
that's
So we have not got the reimbursement back to the account then, yet?
It's not back yet, but
Okay,
it's been officially credited on their books, we just haven't received the check yet.
okay.
So if the check's coming, we don't technically need an ordinance to,
But he's still over budget after that comes back.
so the 2.5 gallon
For the-
jugs,
for
we've got
the
more than
jugs.
too many of those as well.
Correct.
What's that dollar amount?
The amount that's in the budget ordinance there.
In the
Not on our
packet?
sheet.
I'm sorry, in the packet there. 2,567.31.
Any other questions? Everybody's satisfied with their answers? This is first reading, so it'll just be a yes or no. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. This motion carries. Item number 3, resolution number, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution 2024-30 adopting amended policy 616, travel and reimbursement of expenses per state regulation.
We have a motion by Clint, do we have a second?
I'll second it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Motion by Clint, second by Clay to adopt the resolution number 2024-30, adopting amended policy 6.6, travel and reimbursement of expenses per state regulation. This is just the state rate for what we reimburse our employees for travel, whether they use their vehicle or a city vehicle.
The state change went into effect July 1. We didn't catch it until recently. So we're catching up. Yeah.
Okay?
So they do get reimbursed if they decide to take their own vehicle and not a city
Yes.
vehicle?
That's correct, and the rate is set by the state. And that's also in your packet. Yeah. If they take their own car, we'll pay them a very little bit of money to take their own car,
If a vehicle
If the vehicle's
is
available.
available.
if we had a vehicle available, yep. Okay. Any other discussion that you'd like on that? This will be call this question with a roll call vote. Councilman Miners,
Yes.
Clint,
Yes.
Hughes,
Aye.
Skylar,
Nay.
nay. Shaheen,
Yes.
and Clay.
Yes.
This motion passes 5-1. Thank you very much. Item number 4, claims.
I'll make a
Mayor.
motion to approve, we pay the claims.
Motion by Hughes, do we have a second?
And Mr. Mayor, I'll second that motion.
Mike Clay. Anybody want to bring up anything of order on the claims?
I don't know if there's a mistake or what. I don't have any of the packet on my email.
I didn't either.
Really?
Really?
It wasn't on
John-
the email at my office, but it showed up on an email here. I don't
I
know.
don't have.
It's one from Holly, information, if you've got an email
Correct.
from Holly, not from Paul. I just was looking through that too, but
Yeah, Holly sent them out,
Friday afternoon,
mhm.
Friday night.
I was reading the claims tonight. I didn't see anything. Austin, you're good at catching stuff, but I didn't see anything.
I don't have it.
Do you wanna
Good.
look at mine?
Yeah, well,
At another time, we'll have to look into that distribution list and make sure why you got deleted. Maybe you voted no on too many things.
I have.
We'll call this question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. I don't believe we have any reason for an executive session tonight. Pardon me?
We do not.
We do not, okay. So I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll
Motion
second.
by Clunt, second by Hughes. Did you say Hughes?
Yeah.
Okay. At 7:02. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Thank you very much for coming.
We're pretty good at these 30-minute meetings. Did another one tonight.